Hey, Tom Rabbit! I hope you got this for your recording. Hey, YouTube out there. Tom Rabbit likes to record these. Hey, Tom Rabbit!
That was important.
If you heckle like that, you're gonna get server muted. So go ahead, Tony.
There's been a few people who have told. First off, I know of you. There's a friend of mine who told me, you're a believer of God, and I like to think that I'm agnostic, and there's something out there. I'm just not sure of what it is. But what would be your rationale for believing that this world is created by a God?
My rationale for that, short and sweet, is that all temporal or contingent objects necessarily indicate the eternal to be contextualized, and it could only be the eternal if and only if the eternal was God, and that the denial therein is impossible.
I mean, that
That's probably
sounds
the
like
dumbest thing I've ever heard.
okay. Well, that sounds like a non sequitur.
Well, that's a terrible input.
So, it really doesn't follow that that's your reasoning for it.
I didn't hear. Okay, when you say it's, could you repeat the first part of that?
Yeah, it's a non sequitur. It doesn't follow that you somehow believe that there's a God, or you know there's a God, based on that your conclusion. Just
okay. First of
it's
all,
not
I was
rational.
told that you're a professor.
Yes.
Of what?
I am associate professor of biology.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's all there is to it. Marine biology.
So you're giving me a generalization. You didn't give me a counter argument.
Well, that's the well. First off,
okay. Do you agree that there are temporal states?
Of course.
Okay. Now, either the temporal states will necessarily indicate the eternal or not, as per the law of excluded middle. Do you accept that?
Yes, that would be the definition of that law.
Okay. Now, so my position is it necessarily indicates the eternal, because the temporal state wouldn't be anything if it didn't. In other words, there would be no contextualization for the object in question. Now, if you do not accept that, that means you accept the negation. That's the only way that you could say that it's a non sequitur. So you're going to have to make a case that temporal states do not indicate the eternal in order to establish that what I'm saying is a non sequitur.
Well, so let's start with you can't just yes or no that. That's not something you can just give a yes or no to.
You are dodging what I'm putting to you.
Darth, stop interrupting.
Shut your mouth, Windows.
Shut your mouth, you old dotard.
Well, first off,
just give me a second. Hold on, Tom.
Okay.
Tony,
yes,
do you agree that temporal things, and by that I mean things that begin to exist, are contingent states, they either necessarily indicate the eternal or not?
I do not agree with that because you're defining eternal as a God or creator.
Okay, I just gave you a logically necessary or statement. Okay, do you accept the law of excluded middle?
Oh, I do. Yep, for every
okay, great.
Proposition,
so I just
either the proposition or its negation is true.
Right. I just gave you the statement of the law of excluded middle, and I simply filled in the value for A. Okay.
Okay.
Now, either it is the case that contingent objects necessarily indicate the eternal or not. That or statement is necessarily true.
Well, that assumes the creator.
No. Listen to me carefully. Focus on the statement.
Sure.
That the eternal thing is the creator is a secondary issue. Now, I told you that temporal states, I gave you an or statement. The or statement is necessarily true. I will repeat it. Temporal states either necessarily indicate the eternal or not. Now, the or statement I just gave you, is that statement necessarily true?
Based on what you're saying, it would be, yes.
Okay, so we're in agreement. Now,
Yeah.
if I affirm one or the other, and you say it doesn't necessarily follow, then what you are advancing is the negation of my position in order to establish that it's a non sequitur.
Okay.
Okay? Now, are you prepared to defend the negation of my proposition in order to establish that I'm uttering a non sequitur?
Yes, I am prepared,
Okay.
but I would like
Okay.
to, if you don't mind, I would, because it does seem that you're well versed in philosophy. I'd like to ask you about the Big Bang and ask you, are you well versed in, um, I'm sorry, thermodynamics?
I think I know enough to be conversant about it. Do I have
Mhm.
expertise in it? No, but that's changing of the subject. I'd like to continue on the line of subject matter that we're discussing rather than change the subject. Okay. If you want
Okay,
to
fair
discuss
enough.
the Big Bang later on or some other time, I'm more than willing. You seem so far like I'm sure we probably won't agree on a lot of things, but you sound like a very mature person. I don't run into a lot of mature people on Discord, so it'll be a joy to talk with you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. In truth, I'm not trying to change your beliefs, but maybe you can change mine.
well, I would hope that you would try too.
Mm.
So, um, so far I run into a lot of trolls on Discord, and you don't seem to be one of them. So if we vigorously disagree, it's nothing personal.
Mhm.
Okay, so I've laid down a proposition. The proposition for the existence of God, the case is temporal states necessarily indicate the eternal. Okay, you stated that that's a non sequitur. It doesn't follow. The only way that you can ground that it's a non sequitur is to establish its negation, that temporal states do not necessarily indicate the eternal. Are you prepared to defend that?
Yes, but um my defense would not make you happy and you would not agree to it because I would go off we don't know. I would tell you we don't know. We have some working theories.
But here's the
Uh
problem:
yeah.
you don't have that luxury, okay? Because it's an or statement, okay? Your
Mm-hmm.
position is that temporal states do not necessarily indicate the eternal, right?
Right.
Okay,
Right.
can you
And
defend that, please?
yeah, so first I would not allow you to use the law of excluded middle. For example, like in mathematical logic, the excluded middle, it's argued it results in a self-contradiction. That's first. So,
Well, we're not
yeah.
discussing mathematics.
No,
Mathematics
100%. Yeah.
mathematics are abstract objects. We're not discussing abstract objects or the relationship between abstract objects. Okay.
Right. But it
Now,
is,
now, do you
yeah.
accept the law of excluded middle?
I do in most cases, yes.
Oh, in most cases. So the law of excluded middle is not universally true.
No, 100% it is not. So, have you ever heard of the liar's paradox?
I've had a PhD philosophy present that to me, and the liar's paradox is that it's not coherent. Okay, when it says
Right.
this
So, some
sentence, okay, when it
propositions can neither be true or false,
no,
neither true
yeah,
nor false. Um,
okay, the liar's paradox, when it says this sentence is a lie, what does this sentence refer to?
um, it's referring to the person behind whoever's making said
No,
statement.
no, no, no.
So,
This sentence is a lie.
right,
This sentence, what does that refer to? What does that quantify?
that sentence is a lie.
It does it is it is this sentence meaning this sentence or this sentence is a lie?
I'm not sure.
Okay, then you need to dropping the liar's paradox. I had a PhD in atheism drop that on me, and he failed just like you
Sure.
failed. Okay,
Okay.
so
Well, it's mhm.
the liar's paradox, presenting it is a fail, an attempt to vitiate the law of excluded middle. Okay, so do you accept the or statement that either temporal states necessarily indicate the eternal or not? Do you accept that?
From your point of view, I would say yes, but from a agnostic's point of view, it would be a no.
We're not talking about agnosticism. Do you understand? It's either A or not. Okay. Now you are taking the not position, right? Your position is that temporal states do not necessarily indicate the eternal. That's not a statement of it. That's not a statement of agnosticism. Okay. And by the way, if you want to discuss agnosticism, I'm well prepared to discuss that as well. But the bottom line here is this. I gave you my rationale. You said it's a non-sequitur, which means you're going to have to establish the possibility of the alternative. You have to establish its possibility, that it's possible. Okay. Therefore, if you establish its possibility, okay, then you will have established that I'm giving a non sequitur. Can you establish the possibility that temporal states do not indicate the eternal? Can you defend the possibility?
No, again, so
Okay, then you
I mean,
can't establish that I've given a non sequitur then.
okay, I get what you're
Your
getting at. I get
your
what you're getting.
accusation that I've issued a non sequitur is without merit. It's without support. Okay, so I made my case for God. Now, what is your position? Are you you said you're an agnostic?
Yeah, so that proposition though, okay, it's irrespective of my belief, but I believe it is irrespective of your belief too. It's when you
I'm not understanding what you're saying.
Yeah, so when you're basically telling me there is either a even or odd number of molecules in my water. Sure, I can agree with that. But when you're talking about God and the God dilemma, I don't believe it's as simple, and I don't think it's fair to use philosophy to try to justify that. It feels like you're leading me somewhere, but I don't believe it's.
I'm partially understanding you, but I'm not quite understanding what you're getting at.
Well, I'm getting at. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm getting at that you need better reasoning for me to believe in God, and philosophy isn't it.
Okay, are you without belief in God?
I believe it's possible.
No, I didn't ask you if it was possible. I said, are you without a positive affirmation that God exists?
I live my life assuming that there is a God.
Okay, so you do believe God exists?
No, but I live my life.
Okay, so you don't believe God. You don't believe God exists then?
I believe it's possible, but what
I didn't ask you that question. Okay. Do you affirm that God exists?
Excuse me. Well, hold on. First off, when we say that, we have to keep in mind of how many gods there are. So, first off, how would you justify to me to believe in, say, your God? So you can't.
So what you're doing now is you're doing a classic bait and switch. You may not realize you're doing it, but you're going from global atheism to local atheism. Now, I asked you a direct question. Do you have a positive belief that God exists?
I do not.
You do not. Okay. Now, do you take the position that God does not exist? Or do you stake out the claim that you're suspending judgment?
That's a good question. I suspend judgment.
Okay, so what you're claiming then is that you're an agnostic then, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, there's only two possible worlds. There's the God world and the not God world, okay? Now, within the framework of the God world, all facts would derive and depend and necessitate referencing God. In the not God world, all facts would be without referencing the necessity of God. So without sounding condescending, because you're an educated man, do you understand the relationship between facts and the model of reality? Facts will either be with reference to the necessity of God or without.
Yes, if you're taking the assumption that there is a God, though, you're already assuming.
No. We're not discussing right now the actuality of God. What we're saying is that when we invoke facts, facts will either be contextualized explicitly or implicitly with reference to the necessity of God or without.
Fair.
It's a true
Yes,
dichotomy.
it's
Okay.
fair.
Now, when you invoke facts, do you explicitly or implicitly reference the necessity of God? Do you do that?
I would say I do.
Okay. Then you are affirming the existence of God.
By that logic, I would be. No, you're completely
Right.
right.
And then,
Yeah.
then you're no then you're not an agnostic, because an agnostic claims not to affirm God's existence.
Yeah, you're completely right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow,
So,
that is really good.
okay.
Uh-huh.
So I got you to go from being an agnostic to a God believer in just a matter of minutes, didn't I?
Yeah, no, you broke that down very well. Can you repeat that last part one more time?
Yeah, you will either invoke facts with reference to the necessity of God or without. This is what you do. Now, what I like about you, because I'm assuming what you're telling me about your background is true, your academics, you have a reputation to protect, whereas most of these schmucks don't. And so you will be at least less apt or more prone to being truthful. So you're not going to pull one of these maneuvers. Well, I don't know, because you do know. So either you will affirm that you invoke facts with reference to the necessity of God or without. And you've stated now you invoke facts with reference to the necessity of God. So I've got you to go from being an agnostic to a theist within minutes.
Yeah. No, wow, you break it down really well. All right.
Well,
Well, let me ask you.
I've had 13 years of dealing with atheists and unbelievers, so I know how they think. I know all their talking points,
Mhm.
and
I
I'm
didn't
also
even.
coming from I'm also have the advantages. I'm coming from the Christian perspective, so I'm using the wisdom and the concepts of the Bible, which I consider to be the wisdom of God.
Oh, so you're a Christian.
Yes.
So what makes Christianity the truth? Let's let's
Why? Mhm.
let's say there is a God. Now we have to get to the point of which God, which is another
Okay.
very.
Okay. The God of Christianity is true, first and foremost, because he's taken the initiative by virtue that he has the attributes set to accomplish it, to reveal himself rationally, undeniably in creation and through human history, ultimately in the person of Jesus Christ and through the Christian scriptures, which is a comprehensive worldview, which is exclusive. No other world can have its attribute set. And that worldview is indispensable, without which you couldn't ground logic, truth, or reason. So Christianity is objectively proven, first and foremost, by God's self disclosure and due to the impossibility of its denial.
Yeah, that one I do not agree with at all.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I
then that
just.
means that
Yeah.
you don't accept the Christian worldview as being exclusive and indispensable. So, what other worldview has the foundational parameters which will ground truth, reason, and logic? What is your worldview, and how does it
Yeah.
ground? How do you establish, how do you instantiate that there are any fundamental parameters? Do any absolutes exist?
Oh, that's completely fair, but I suppose the same argument could be made for any Abrahamic religion.
You're dodging my
No, 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 I'm
question.
not dodging. No, not at all.
If you don't accept the Christian worldview, you can
Right.
only do so by virtue of your worldview.
No, that's
So
not
to
true. That's not necessarily
no,
true.
it is true, because I can apply the law of excluded middle again. Either it is the case the Christian worldview is true, or not. The only way that you're going to be able to negate the Christian worldview is in virtue of presenting not the Christian worldview.
No, why? Yeah, so
Do
why?
you
Yeah,
negate the Christian
excuse me.
worldview by virtue of the not Christian worldview?
Yeah, so I mean, it starts off with
That's
you
yes.
force.
Is that yes?
No, it's not a yes or no.
Do you
We have to
negate the
talk
Christian
about it.
worldview? Do you
Well,
negate the Christian worldview?
not necessarily, but I cannot say
No,
that
no, no,
I,
no. Okay.
yeah.
Do you affirm it?
Based on what you just said, I cannot affirm it and say that is
Okay,
the reason that Christianity would be the
then you deny it.
truth. Well, I don't know if I deny it.
No, you're not aware that you deny it. All worldviews. Okay, you tell me if you disagree at any point. Okay,
Sure.
a worldview is your complete, interconnected, and interrelated beliefs that are typically unified either concretely or abstractly. Okay,
No, that's pretty true. Socrates speaks about something
right,
very
right.
similar.
Okay. So all worldviews are mutually exclusive. They're mutually contradictory. Okay.
Okay.
Now, if we represent the Christian worldview or any worldview for that matter as if you don't accept it, that means you're operating off of a worldview in order to predicate, and that worldview can be represented as not A. Okay?
Okay.
So the non-acceptance of a worldview constitutes the denial therein, whether or not you realize it.
Disagree.
Okay, then I'll have to explain it to you. A worldview, every proposition and predication is worldview specific. Do you accept that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so the actuality and the intelligibility of any proposition or statement, since it is worldview specific, it's worldview dependent.
Yes, but your worldview. So you do
Okay.
not necessarily
Okay.
have to use your worldview to make an argument for or against any
Of course,
proposition.
yes, you do, because then you will, whatever you state will not be contextualized, and if it's not contextualized, it's nothing. Would you like to give me a non-contextualized fact?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay,
But
so
yeah.
so a worldview is the contextualization for any predication, proposition, or fact. No contextualization, you have no fact. So would you agree that a fact is something that we stipulate that is the case?
Yes, but a
Okay,
fact is
right. In order to
truth.
have a fact, you have to have a philosophy of what constitutes fact.
Yes.
Okay, so a fact requires a philosophy of factness. A philosophy of factness is going to require a contextual framework or a model of reality. So the philosophy of factness requires a model of reality or a worldview. So the stipulation of a fact, in order for it to be a fact,
Right.
you must present the framework or the context within which it depends, which is your worldview.
Yeah, but so I would agree with that. Okay, that's fine. But based on your rationale and the argument that you're presenting, Islam or Judaism, anybody from either religion can make the same argument. Hinduism, any type of religion could make the
No.
exact argument that you're
Well,
currently making. So
then
that
you're
wouldn't
claiming
necessarily make Christianity true as much as anything
that
else.
Christianity isn't. Then you're okay. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out how to explain this to you. Okay,
Yeah.
in the Christian worldview, God exists from eternity. He then creates the world. He establishes its fundamental parameters within which we exist and move and breathe, and we have appropriation of truth, knowledge, and reason. That worldview is entirely revelational of God. So whatever God creates to come into contact with our consciousness is a
Yeah.
revelation of God. Okay, conceptually speaking. Okay.
Fair.
So if God says good morning to me, that's a revelation of God. If God creates the moon and I look at the moon, in that world, my looking at the moon is a revelation of God. Okay? Now,
Yeah, fair.
in the
But
Christian worldview,
that doesn't make, yeah.
I'm not done yet. Okay? In the
Okay.
Christian worldview, God is entirely perfect, and one of his perfections is always truth revealing. Okay? So intelligibility, all right? And intelligibility derives from actuality. Now, in Islam, the God of Islam is not always truth revealing. Were you aware of that?
No, he is also always based on the book. He is always
Oh,
truthful.
okay. So, are you a Muslim?
No, I told you what I am.
Oh, okay, okay. Are you aware that in the Quran, in the Arabic, it states a number of times that Allah is the greatest of all deceivers?
Um, I wasn't, but I will say, so based, if you're gonna
Yeah.
throw something, well, so
So,
if you're, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
at some
Allah
point I
is not
gotta be
always.
able to respond.
Okay, so do you realize that Allah is not always truth revealing?
Um, no, I don't realize that, but if you're gonna make that sort of argument
It's
before
not
you
an
even,
argument. It's
yeah,
characteristic of Allah.
sure, but characteristics of Jesus is that he's always good. But in Exodus,
Right?
he
Yeah.
asks the Pharaoh to say no to Moses, and it brings plagues upon Egypt.
Oh, chap. What do you mean? He asks the Pharaoh. Where does God ask Pharaoh to say no to Moses?
I know I read it in Exodus for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Chapter and verse.
Yeah, I'd have to find it for sure. I don't
Yeah,
disagree.
yeah. Good luck finding that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
think
let's
he's
get back.
I think
Yeah,
he's
go ahead.
referring to God hardening the heart of Pharaoh.
Yeah, but that's phenomenological language. Okay, right now.
Yeah.
So let's get back to the discussion at hand. So you said these other guys, gods can. Okay. Well, the answer is they can't. Okay, because they
Mhm.
don't have the character set that the God of the Bible does. So the God of Islam, for example, is not always truth revealing. Now, do you know what Islam teaches about the crucifixion of Jesus Christ?
I believe they believe that Jesus was basically switched out with somebody and he arose to heaven and he
No.
will,
Well,
yeah.
it said it was made to appear that he died on the
There you
cross, but
go.
he is not. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, so it was Allah who made it to appear. Okay. So Allah, this is a prime example of the other verses in the Quran where it says Allah is the greatest of all deceivers. The Arabic word that is used in these passages is makr. It means to scheme, to deceive in any context. Okay. So
Mhm.
Allah is not always, he does not possess the attribute of always truth revealing. So are we clear on that point before I move on?
Well, do you speak Arabic?
No, but I've spoken to a number of people who are fluent in Arabic who have told me what the word is. I've actually looked up the word on online lectionaries and dictionaries, and that's what the word in the passages refer to. Okay. So
Mm.
it's not really, you may be unaware of this, but this isn't a debatable point about Allah is not always truth revealing. Okay. If you don't want to go that route, how about we go to Surah 4 and 5, where Allah through Muhammad represents the Christian doctrine of the Trinity and condemns the Christians for following. But the Christian doctrine of the Trinity that is invoked is that the Christians were believing in Allah, Jesus, and Mary as the Trinity. Oops. So
Well,
Allah is not omniscient because he made a massive historical blunder. Nobody in the annals of Christian history espoused that the doctrine of the Trinity was Allah, Jesus, and Mary. If Allah is representative of the Father, okay,
mhm.
then Muhammad, allegedly under the guidance of Allah, Allah got the representation of the Trinity historically wrong when it's set about to condemn it. That's Surah 4 and 5. There's one verse in Surah 4, and there are two verses in Surah 5 that individually and collectively condemn the doctrine of the Trinity, representative as Allah, Jesus, and Mary. So Allah is not omniscient.
Yeah, so the first
So
thing you
Allah,
said,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, the first thing that you said about Allah being a deceiver, I did some quick Googling and just if we're just this is just Reddit, but a bunch of Muslims say no, that is not true, and actually
Yeah,
it
they're lying.
translates to the. I mean,
yeah.
they're lying. We don't even know who they are.
They are lying because they want to translate it in the English, the greatest of all planners, but that's not what the Arabic means.
So do you concede that?
The reason why they are saying that is because Muhammad made an epic mistake theologically and philosophically, and they're trying to cover up for it. Okay, by saying, "Oh, it means the greatest of all planners." That is not what the Arabic means.
Okay. Do you speak Arabic?
No, I don't, but I've talked to enough Arabic speakers who are fluent in Arabic, and I've actually looked it up online in Arabic lexicons. The word makr, it means to scheme, to deceive in any context.
No, I'm telling you that is not true. I am literally looking at the
All right,
Wikipedia page.
yeah.
Look,
Well,
yes,
that's
and it.
Wikipedia. Anybody can edit
So,
that.
well, okay, that's fine. Well, then people's testimony, whether it's
Okay.
Reddit, whether it's
Well,
whatever.
here's the problem.
So,
Here's the problem. Okay, I'm going to
well,
cut
the
this short.
problem, the real problem
Hold
is
on a
this is
second.
amounting to mental masturbation.
I have a bombshell for you. Okay. What you are doing is when you invoke other worldviews in order to neutralize the exclusivity of the Christian worldview, you're
No,
committing what
that's
is
not what
called.
I did.
Okay, you said other God concepts can accomplish the same thing that the Christian God does, right?
No, what I really said was I can
Did you
accept.
invoke Islam?
No,
You
no,
invoked Islam.
I invoked any and
That's
all.
right. Okay, that's right. That's right. So what you are doing, which you don't realize, it's called worldview body double. You know what a worldview body double is?
I do not, but you need to
Okay,
let
I'll
me
tell
get
you what
some
it is.
words in at some
I
point.
will in a second. I will. Okay. When you do not accept the Christian worldview as a composite worldview, okay, it constitutes a negation. Okay, because you can't be neutral because all worldviews are exclusive. If
Okay.
you do not accept the Christian worldview and you say that the Christian worldview is not exclusive and necessary, is it your position that the Christian worldview is not exclusive and necessary?
It is my position that any religion might not be exclusive or necessary.
No. Is it your position that the Christian worldview is not exclusive and within its exclusivity is necessary to ground reason, truth, and intelligibility?
Yes.
Okay. Then in order to negate that worldview as represented by A, you have to present not A. What worldview are you putting on the table to negate the Christian
All
worldview?
right. So, so once again, that same logic can be used for anyone who's religious of any
Okay,
religion. I'm
you are
not dodging.
dodging the question. You
Well,
most
look,
certainly are.
this is just gonna amount to mental
Can we
masturbation at some point.
no, you can be insultive all you want.
I'm not trying to insult you.
Can I represent the Christian worldview by the letter A? Is that acceptable to you?
Okay, so
Okay, right. So
I
you are
will
saying that
respond to that. But
so you're saying A is not exclusive and indispensable, correct?
what I'm saying is you gave a good argument for
I'm
God.
asking you a
Now,
direct
which
question
God?
and you're dodging. Okay.
Okay.
The Christian worldview will be represented by the letter A. Are you rejecting that A, the Christian worldview, is exclusive and indispensable, without which you won't ground
A
knowledge, truth,
Christian
and
world.
reason?
Wait, hold on. Yes, I accept that if you say it would not ground the Christian worldview. Not
I'm
not
not
any.
getting a clear answer from you. Do you not accept, do you reject that the Christian worldview is exclusive and indispensable for grounding truth, reason, and human intelligibility?
Um. Yeah, I would probably say I don't accept that, but you're forcing an answer out
Okay,
of me.
which model of reality provides for that?
Well, if you're Judaism might for some people, Islam might
No,
for some
you're
people.
you're doing
I mean,
worldview
that's
body double
important.
as
Well,
well.
no, it's important we
You're
say that. I
committing the
mean,
fallacy. You're committing a fallacy right now. I'm going to explain to you what it is. It's called a worldview body double. Only one model of reality, okay, can be true. All models of
that's
reality,
fair.
all worldviews, okay, only one worldview can be true. And
That's
that
fair.
true worldview has to have the parameters, the fundamental parameters to ground truth, reason, and intelligibility. You reject and you deny the exclusivity the exclusivity and the indispensability of the Christian worldview. When you do not respond to me by presenting your worldview and you offer another worldview or multiple worldviews that are not your own, that is called the
Right.
fallacy of a worldview body double. A body
Well,
double is used, a body double or a stuntman is used so that the main actor doesn't get injured. Now,
yeah.
all worldviews are mutually contradictory.
All right.
Okay? Now, if you're going to negate the Christian worldview, okay, you must present your worldview. Because if
All
you
right.
don't, and you invoke another worldview that is your own, you are invoking a worldview from within your own worldview that is false.
All right. That's fair. Again, I mean, we're going in circles.
We're not going in circles.
I'm not rejecting the Christian worldview.
Yes, you are.
I'm
To not
asking you
accept it
for,
is to deny it. To not accept the Christian worldview as the ground of all
that's not
being
true.
is, no, it most certainly is.
No,
The
no, because if
Christian
somebody's
worldview,
looking, hold on, if somebody is looking for answers, you can't just say that.
sir,
The burden of proof is on your shoulders to, without a doubt, prove it. I'm asking you to do
I'm not.
that.
I already did. I explained to you.
You said, dude,
Dude, just say
no,
you're an atheist and prove
dude,
Okay,
atheism,
no,
dude.
I'm
to me.
not. I'm not.
Hold
Listen,
on a
dude,
second.
no, well, hold on a second. Dude, look, I don't want you to say I was born a Christian. This is what you're saying. I was born a Christian and somehow I justify it by using philosophy. I'm asking you for some proof.
Tony, do you have a worldview?
I can't say that I really do. I'm
Yes,
trying to look for
yeah,
one.
no, you do have a worldview. It may be unrefined, it may be crude, and I don't mean that in a pejorative sense, but you
Yeah.
have a worldview. Children have worldviews, Tony.
All right.
Okay, a worldview is your entire collection of interconnected and interrelated beliefs that are typically unified, either concretely or abstractly, which you accepted wholeheartedly earlier in the conversation. Do you have a set of beliefs, Tony?
Can you look?
I'm asking you a
That's a,
legitimate question.
I
Do
know.
you have a set of beliefs that are interrelated and interconnected?
They are open to debate. They are
No.
open. Yes.
Tony, do
No, you're,
you have one or more beliefs?
yes.
Okay. Are those beliefs in any way or in any sense interrelated or interconnected?
Yes.
Okay. You have a worldview then, Tony.
All right. I will
Now,
grant you a
now
worldview of,
is that worldview, does that worldview provide the basis for truth, reason, and intelligibility?
yes, science would.
Okay. Now that worldview, is it the Christian worldview?
I am open to that.
That's a dodge answer.
That's not a
Is
dodge
your
answer. Why
worldview
don't?
the Christian worldview?
Currently, it is not.
Good. So your worldview constitutes the not Christian worldview. The not Christian worldview, according to you, provides the establishment of the fundamental parameters that provide for truth, reason, and intelligibility. Is that your position?
Repeat that one more time.
Your worldview, which constitutes the not Christian worldview, its fundamental parameters provide for truth, reason, and intelligibility. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is my belief that it does. Again, though,
Okay,
you're
good.
well,
Good.
hold on,
Now,
dude. Can I get 2 damn words in?
yes, go ahead.
Okay. Now I told you that I was agnostic. I believe that you made a very reasonable and very
Well, you just told
concrete.
me a few minutes ago you
Well,
believe in
I
God.
know I'm getting there. I'm getting
What is
there.
it? Do you believe in God or
Hold
do you not
on.
believe in God?
Hold on. I told you. I'm just walking you through this. I'm saying I had that belief. That is true. And then you made a real concrete and logical argument for God. And I told you, okay, I accept that. But we went forward and I told you, okay, what makes Christianity the truth? That's where we're at. So when you ask me for my worldview and I say it's open to debate, I mean that. I'm not trying to be a ass with you, not trying to be a
I
hardhead.
don't think that I don't think you are either. I think
Hmm.
we are agreeing. I think we're vigorously disagreeing. I do not think that you're being an ass. I
Okay.
think that a couple of times you're dodging what I'm asking you. Now, if you don't, you said what makes Christianity true? What provides a objective proof that it's true? The
Objective, yes.
objective proof, okay, is that the God of Christianity has revealed himself, okay, his attributes through creation and through human history in a rationally undeniable way, and including that the Christian worldview that he has revealed constitutes being exclusive. No other worldview can have the fundamental parameters of the Christian worldview, which is the attribute set of the God of the Bible. And it's exclusive. And those fundamental attributes of the God of the Bible are indispensable. In other words, you cannot ground truth, reason, and intelligibility in your worldview without the character set of the God of the Bible. Now, your position is your worldview, which is not the Christian worldview, can ground the viability of truth, reason, intelligibility without the character set of the God of the Bible. Would you please defend that?
Okay. But can we back up? You made a lot of very
I just
poignant.
asked you a question. I want you to do one simple thing. Your position, your propositional stance, is that your model of reality, your worldview, can ground the basis for truth, reason, and intelligibility without the attribute set of the Christian God, right?
Well, hold on. That's not the
That's a
statement I
question.
made.
Okay, that is your
Okay.
position.
Hold on. My position is evolving, no pun intended. And it's
That was corny.
clearly
Don't do that again.
it's changing a bit because I agreed with you that okay, based on that logic, there could be a God. When you say worldview, what are you
Okay,
getting at? Are you
Tony,
trying to? I'm asking you
Tony,
to.
do you believe in God or not?
I just told you it's
I
very
told you
Do you?
that's not.
logical.
No. I didn't ask
No,
you if it was logical. I
Oh,
didn't ask you if it was
currently
probable.
I don't.
Okay, so why did you tell me a
Do you,
while ago that
dude?
you do believe in God?
Are you not getting what I'm saying? I'm telling you that yes, you made a very logical point, and now I need to find and
Okay, so now you're
understand
telling me you
which.
don't believe in God?
Dude, no one just believes in God in 10 minutes. I mean, I'm telling you that
Okay,
yes, I agree with you that you know what? It's very yes,
okay.
okay, there
No,
is
I
a
didn't ask
God,
you if it's
which
possible. I didn't
that's
ask
an
you if it was I'm not
agnostic.
asking
Uh-huh.
you. I'm not asking you if it's possible. Do you have a positive attitude toward the proposition that God is and that He is the ground of all being? Do you accept that as true?
Currently, I'd say no if you're going to force a yes or no.
No, I'm not forcing anything. I'm asking you a question.
All right, well, if you're not forcing anything, I'm going to tell you I am open for the thought of yes,
No, I didn't ask you if you're open. I said, do you positively affirm now that the ground of all existence is God?
Okay, dude, this is going to amount to like a circular argument. This is some like mental
Notice,
masturbation that we're just not going to get anywhere.
notice how I'm asking you very simple, clear
It's
questions.
not simple. It's
Okay.
clear, yes, but it's not simple.
No,
You
it's
can't
very
make it
simple.
simple.
No, it is simple. Do you positively affirm that God is and that He is the ground of all being?
Positively, no.
Okay, so that means that you're an atheist. Okay.
Again, agnostic.
Okay, so we want to go that route. Okay, here's the problem with agnosticism. Okay, agnosticism is
Hold
the
on,
claim.
I want you to prove the Christian God to me.
I
Dude,
already did. But you are
you said
confusing.
he showed me based on what I'm looking at outside.
Okay,
That's
you want to let
literally.
me finish? I gave you the objective, revelational.
It's not
Okay,
objective.
may I finish, please? If
Yeah,
it's
but you
not
said
objective,
because I basically what you're saying is
good.
I can wake
Now,
up in the morning.
okay, Tony, regardless of whether you disagree with me or not, from my
Yeah.
perspective, I gave you an objective line of reasoning. Now, you are not persuaded, and you're saying it is not an objective instantiation of the Christian worldview. Now, okay, now what that
Because
means
I
then is
told
this.
you
Hey,
a
Tony,
Muslim and a Jew can.
I expect
Yeah.
more out of you if you're an academician. Okay.
Well, I feel like we're not getting anywhere. It's kind of
Well,
frustrating.
that's because you're doing the Dillahunty dodge. Okay, you're dodging, you're weaving, you're verbally tap dancing. You are
What's
evading
Dillahunty?
many of my questions. Now,
I'm sorry.
since you
Slow
don't
down.
have
What's Dillahunty?
that's a famous atheist on YouTube.
Okay.
Okay. Since you do not accept the actuality, exclusiveness, and indispensability of God as the ground of all being. Okay. Now, what is it that institutes why anything is, can be, or cannot be, including truth and intelligibility? Since you don't accept that it's the God of the Bible, what is the basis that makes truth and intelligibility real on a metaphysical scale?
Right now, I believe that it is a creator from a religion that's not necessarily Christianity.
Okay. Change my headset.
Okay. I mean, does anyone disagree with that?
I totally get what you're saying.
I mean, yeah, I feel like I'm not trying to complicate it.
The problem that I'm running into here is that Darth Dawkins is saying, I'm not trying to force you into a yes or no while forcing you into a yes or no. And when you say, well, if you're forcing me into a yes or no, I'm gonna say no, he's gonna say, I don't accept that.
Stop.
He's making.
You're going to get separated. I don't hear anybody else rejecting. You are not accepting the exclusivity and indispensability of the character set known as the Christian God, but that there's another creator that's not the Christian God that provides for the basis of human reason, truth, and intelligibility. Is that correct?
I am.
Hey,
Who's
mute your
that?
microphone, dude. Mute your microphone. Okay, is Tony still here?
I think he left.
Okay. Yeah, so I like Tony. And what happened, you saw he started out real intellectual and real cordial. But when the questions became more refined, he started to filibuster. He started to tap dance and dodge and evade the questions. Okay,
Darth
That's not what I
Dawkins,
saw.
and he was making elementary mistakes in basic logic and philosophy.
Okay.
So that's the problem with atheism. Atheism cannot be rationally instantiated, although it can be irrationally verbalized. Okay, and what you saw with Tony, he's a nice guy, intelligent guy, educated guy. But he was all over the map. One minute he says he doesn't believe in God. Then the next minute he says he's an agnostic. Then he says to me, oh, you've convinced me God exists. And then later on he goes back to saying there isn't a God. Then he says, well, there is a God, but it's not the Christian God. I mean, that was pretty bad for somebody who's as well educated as he's presented to be. Okay, so the point is this with Tony. I think Tony was a nice guy, and I thought he was very intelligent. He started off well, but toward the end, he was imploding because he was in over his head. He was not well equipped to handle this discussion philosophically. Okay, and that has no bearing on his intelligence, his academic achievements. He just wasn't prepared for this discussion. You see, this is why he was getting flustered toward the latter part of the interaction, because he was out of his league. Not because he's stupid, not because he's not educated. He sounded very well educated, but because he was ill prepared in this area. He was not well practiced. He was ill informed about the nature of apologetics and worldview issues. And this is the reason why he kept on dodging repeatedly my questions. Not because my questions were malformed or they were illegitimate, but because if he truthfully answered them, he was in for a whole bag of hurt. And since he didn't want to fall into a bag of hurt, okay, he dodged and danced and prevaricated. But, whoever set him up, and I don't mean any respect toward Tony. I like Tony. I think he's a smart guy. I want to talk with him more. But whoever set him up, I don't think they really informed him of what was going to drop on him. You see, and he says, stop interrupting me. Hold on a second. So I don't mean when he says stop interrupting me. The reason why I'm interrupting you, Tony, is because you keep on dodging my reasonable questions. And you don't want to answer them because they implicate your poor reasoning.
He was kind of being a sophist towards the end there.
Yeah, and I hope we talk again. I think he's a nice guy. I think that he definitely demonstrated some aptness to changing his mind. But I think that the line of reasoning that I was presenting him sequentially overwhelmed him, and he was ill prepared for it. And he didn't want to concede. Okay?
Yeah,
and that's what people do when they prevaricate.
I think there's an emotional component, with this issue when you're talking about a belief that's fundamental.
Yeah. So whoever who set him up here to come in and talk to me, they didn't do him service. He should have listened to a number of my interactions so that he could be prepared ahead of time with my line of reasoning, because he was completely unfamiliar with it.
Thank you, Tom Rabbit.